We've milked the Euros, so let's move on to the next cow, shall we? So for Copa America predictions, I'm just going to do it like everyone else has been doing, just ordering the groups and then going to the knockouts, predicting that. Also, there won't be too much detail with each team, mainly because tomorrow will be the preview. That's where all the details come in. The reason why the predictions video is coming out before the preview video is just basically because the preview video is going to take a little longer to make. But anyways, let's begin with our predictions. Group A, Argentina, Chile, Peru, and Canada. For fourth place, I'm going to go with Peru. I just don't really see much in this team. For one, they've lost Ricardo Gareca. They no longer have that proven manager. On top of that, all of their players are so old and becoming less and less reliable. Not to mention, there's their World Cup qualification campaign. They have been god-awful. 8 goals conceded, just 1 goal scored, and they're last placed. They even lost to Bolivia. Over onto third place, and I'm going to go with Canada. Now, I was thinking of putting Canada in fourth place just because of Jesse Marsch, but Jesse has actually proven me wrong just a little bit with a 0-0 draw with France here. This is a team that's very young, quite inexperienced. I mean, this is the first time Canada has ever made it to a Copa America. And the only way I could really see this team escaping from the group stage is if both of Canada's main players perform to the best of their abilities. Chile I have in second, and for 2 main reasons. One, there seems to be a really good balance of both new and old, especially since the old in question has experience from winning the whole thing. But the big thing that makes me think that Chile will have a pretty good tournament this summer is the fact that they have a proven manager in Ricardo Gareca. Gareca turned around the Peruvian program and helped them qualify for World Cup 2018. Peru wasn't too far off qualifying for 2022 as well, had it not been for the dancing keeper. Either way though, these 2 factors for Chile should be enough to have them qualify for the next round as the runners-up. We have Argentina next, and I mean, come on, was there really anyone else that was going to win this group? Like, come on. Argentina are reigning champions of this tournament, which means retaining it will put some pressure on this team, but also not to mention, they've just won the World Cup. And now that Lionel Messi has won both of those tournaments, there will be less pressure on him, and he'll be an even bigger monster, especially since he's actually playing games now, and he's been dominating MLS lately. And whatever Messi thinks does, the rest of the team follows. Over to Group B, we have Mexico, Ecuador, Venezuela, and Jamaica. And fourth place is probably the hardest to actually figure out here because it's just going to be a competition between Jamaica and Mexico for who can be the most underwhelming. And you know what? I think this will cause a bit of a stir, but I don't think it's going to be Jamaica. I think it's going to be Mexico that finished fourth. The thing with Mexico is that they are so underwhelming, so mid, don't have any identity, and they haven't had one in so many years now. They don't have a Pico Ochoa. They don't have really anything that made them what they were in the 2010s. And it's really making them suffer as of late. Uzbekistan they drew with. Australia they drew with. By the way, in the US, where the majority of the fans were Mexican. There was also that time they barely escaped Honduras in the quarterfinals of the Nations League. I feel like this will be the tournament where finally Mexico has that performance where they have to wake up. They're forced to wake up. Well, at least I think that's the case. Maybe I'm underestimating the federation here. And the worst part about this is that third place Jamaica, I can't really see much in this team either, but the one thing that makes me feel Jamaica could actually overcome the Mexicans is the fact that their results haven't been bad. They beat Canada in 2 legs in the Nations League, and then they nearly made it to the finals had it not been for pure luck against the US. And now we're into second and first place, and this should be pretty concrete. Venezuela will definitely finish second. I don't really have a doubt in that, especially since, as of late, they have risen from their grave of being terrible. Since their coach, Fernando Batista, has come in, I mean, they have been fantastic in qualifiers so far. And a lot of that has come down to Venezuela's backline. They've been really solid, and I mean, defense is just kind of a key to success in these tournaments. And finally, first place, Ecuador. I look at this team as a potential dark horse with the fact that just like Chile, they have that mix of young and old, and in this case, their young is more experienced and even better. Also, under Felix Sanchez, their new manager, Ecuador has been really solid defensively. On to Group C, we have the US, Uruguay, Bolivia, and Panama. This is probably going to be the easiest group to decide of all of these. I am 100% certain, because Bolivia are in absolute shambles. I don't believe in this team whatsoever. I don't even think Bolivians believe in this team. Their all-time top scorer is gone. He's retired. Who else is there? King no one. Also, not to mention, their win against Peru in qualifiers recently was their first competitive win in 2.5 years. So 4th place nailed down pretty easily. 3rd place should be the same here, Panama. Panama is a decent team. It's just kind of unfortunate which group they've been placed into, because under their manager, they've put up some decent performances, especially last year when they beat the US in the Gold Cup and nearly made it to the final. And while this team has some interesting players like Joel Barcenas, I mean, it's against USA and Uruguay. It's kind of hard to really trump those talents. 2nd place, USA, shouldn't be a question. They're the hosts. This is a team that is really young, has a lot of great talent, and only gets better with every year. But the issue here is that head coach Greg Berhalter has only one-dimensional tactics that never work. Actually, in fact, whenever the team decides to defy his tactics is the only time they're actually successful. And now on to Uruguay, and this should be so easy for Uruguay. You know, the US have great talents, don't get me wrong, but Uruguay have way better talents and an even better coach. When you have a team consisting of Darwin Núñez, Ronald Araujo, and one of the best box-to-box midfielders in the world by Marcelo Bielsa, I mean, that just seems like a recipe for success. And if you have any doubts in Bielsa, they've been really good in qualifiers. They in fact beat Argentina in Argentina and also Brazil. I have no doubt that this team will go through to the next round as winners of this group. And I also have no doubt that they're one of the favorites to win this whole thing with how hot they are right now. Finally, we have Group D, Brazil, Colombia, Paraguay, and Costa Rica. 4th place, a lot of people are going to say Costa Rica. I kind of disagree. I'm sorry to one of my favorite ESPN journalists, Roberto. I'm gonna go with Paraguay finished 4th. I just don't know about Paraguay because currently this team's form just doesn't really convince me at all. Sure, they've only conceded just 3 goals in World Cup qualifiers, but they've only scored once and they sit 7th, which is the playoff spot, but you know, that does kind of say a lot about South American qualifiers now, when 7 teams can potentially qualify. Which goes on to 3rd place, which maybe I'm giving Costa Rica a little too much of the plaudits here, especially since Keylor Navas is gone and this team is in a rebuild period. But their current manager is Gustavo Alfaro, who led Ecuador to their first World Cup in 8 years back in 2022, and in order to do that, his Ecuadorian side faced Argentina and Brazil and gave them really good fights. Sure, this isn't the Ecuadorian national team, but I'd say there's still some promise with this Costa Rican side, with a lot of young talent that's coming up here. So yeah, we'll just have to see whether or not I eat my words after these group stages. Finally, we have the top 2, and for 2nd place, I'm gonna go with Brazil. This team does not convince me, and had there been another more difficult opponent, God, I could have honestly put Brazil 3rd. To start, Brazil had a really bad start to World Cup qualifiers, and I feel like people kind of forget to mention this or just ignore this, but that was with an older manager. They've sacked that manager, they now have a new one, but I think we're starting to realize that it's not really the manager's fault here, it's just the fact that this Brazilian side just isn't as good as people think it is. Sure, you have a lot of incredible talent, Vini Jr. just to name one, who's a Ballon d'Or candidate, but the problem is, they're a team of individuals. I don't see any cohesion happening. As someone who watched the Brazil-USA game in full, you could just tell that this team just was awkward in the way they played. And finally, we have the winners of Group D, Colombia. Colombia right now are on a 22-game unbeaten run. And this is no sham either, because they've beaten Germany, Brazil, Spain. Nestor Lorenzo has been working miracles with this team, especially in attack. They've been actually scoring, which is definitely something new. 2 years ago, Colombians were on suicide watch every single time they watched their team attack. But the thing is though, I wouldn't even say this is the most talented group in this tournament. They're just a really good team. And that's exactly what you want to hear going into a tournament. I mean, that's a key to success there. There's no doubt that these guys are favorites to win the group and even win the tournament. But the question now is, can they carry on the momentum like Argentina and Italy, or will they crash like Algeria? Time to predict the quarterfinals now, and we'll start with Group A winners Argentina versus Group B runners-up Venezuela. Unfortunate for Venezuela, they have to play the reigning champions in Argentina. And Argentina, the much stronger team here, they will move on to the semis. Next, we have the Group B winners of Ecuador versus the runners-up of Group A, Chile. This one's a little tougher, but I would say in this case, Ecuador just edge out Chile. We've already kind of compared these two in the group stages, where they both have a good balance of new and old, but I would say the new of Ecuador is a lot more talented. Group C winners Uruguay versus Group D runners-up Brazil. Not a question for me. Uruguay's already beaten this team before, they're gonna do it again. And then finally, Colombia, Group D winners versus USA, runners-up of Group C. Again, very easy here. Colombia will win, no questions asked. Argentina versus Ecuador. Again, I'm gonna have to say Argentina. They're way stronger, have that winning mentality, they'll easily move on to the final. This one's just kind of unfortunate because you have the two hottest teams going up against each other. Uruguay versus Colombia. Yeah, I'm not sure. I unfortunately think this will be the end of the road for Colombia. As much as they've gone on such an insane run, I think Uruguay just has the better quality and the better manager with tactics that pretty much are perfect for a tournament like this. On to the third place now, and it's going to be between Ecuador and Colombia. Colombia win this one easily. And then we have the final, Argentina versus Uruguay. I'm going to go with Argentina on this one. I think Uruguay have a very talented squad, but Argentina, Lionel Messi, Lionel Scaloni, that experience of being in a Copa America final and also a World Cup final, I think Argentina are repeating. So congratulations, Argentina. Or uncongratulations, Argentina, considering this could probably be a jinx. But who do you think will win Copa America? Will it be Argentina who will repeat it? Or will it be someone like, I don't know, Colombia or Uruguay? Let me know. But of course, a massive shout out to all our members, including Janos Balas, Brazilian Fury, Respect the Jeff, Adnazir Makalancom, Alex Rod, Ulta, Miguel Munoz, Return Fire, Rory Burns, Slider Kid, Sniffrix, Taco Okafan, The Cypriot 35, Not Windows 95 Man, Kentra Agacha, Big Boars, The Baby Eater II, Kerbo, Unkwell, St. Terrence, Sylvia Citrus, Ryan Jens, Wise Orange, Raspberry Enthusiast, Cocosaurus Rex, La James Braun, Samu, Just MRC, Cheesebait, Cooper Ruri, The Somali Pirate, Claymore Roomba, Winder Gel, M4 Does Stuff, Finn Likes Rugby More, Davox, The Porter Geyser, TPSK25, Polar Protos, Chris Visconti, Dominic Griffin, Kyler Krebs, Lucian Von Croix, Mohammed Altanib, Niche, Patrick Barley, Rashford God 5, Raspberry Ale, subscribe to Tenditim, and Unbroken Persona. If you'd like to become a new member and support the channel extra, you can join by the link in the description or up in the annotations. You can follow my Twitter if you want, follow my Instagram if you like, follow my Twitch, gonna do some watch-alongs here or there. I'm also gonna probably invite some creators onto those watch-alongs where we probably won't even talk about the game because that's how my streams seem to work out. But anyways, until then, I'll see you guys.